Pangum langhayate girim yat kripatam aham vande paramananda madhavam. Okay. Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha dridhavrataha namasyantascha mam bhaktya nitya yukta upasate. But those who always satatam kirtayantah mam, who glorify me, yatantascha, and who are aspiring towards me, dridhavratah, steady in their vows, in their resolutions, in their decisions. This is always constantly going through this, to be steady in our own decision. Because today we decide to be divine and be spiritual, and tomorrow something else comes on the way and we become normal again. And this happens all the time in our life. We know how difficult it is to create this resolution which leads us on the spiritual path. But the mother says somewhere about this in a very interesting way. She says it will never be resolved by this decision making. From now on, I will be only this. It will not be done this way. It's good to try and to see how it is not working. I tried a million times. I made so many vows in my life. And all those vows are not fulfilled. Why? Because the nature has its own way of doing things. It breaks your vows, it breaks your decisions, it breaks your will by circumstances, by other needs or other membership, which is part of you, which is coming up and makes a fuss about everything, and then you cannot go on. Even if you insist, they will be fighting against you, and until you are agreeing in, and giving in to their own demands. So this is what is happening all the time. But Mother says somewhere that there is a way. Once you are totally exhausted in that way, and you see that it is no more the thing you need or want or would like to experience, or so everything is exhausted, finished for you, then you are ready to make a decision. And that is, for me now, in this stage of my life, dridhavrata, those who are steady in their decisions. The problem with this being steady in your decision is that you may endure, you may sustain for a while, but then in the most unexpected moment of your life, you will fall. It's a very weird thing because it depends on your will. If you made your will, resolution of your will, that feels like when you deviate from that resolution as if you are not doing anything wrong. It feels like you are kind of experimenting with another possibility of your will. It's weird. You don't feel wrong about it. You feel excited. You feel even happy to deviate from that particular one difficult path because it doesn't bring results you wanted. The results are not coming through that way. You cannot make them by will. It's weird.
Yeah, sometimes I think like I almost have to, whatever the actions are, it's more that intention or that understanding that you're connected to spirit and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
You
didn't create this nature. You didn't
exactly.
make it. Yeah. You didn't make your demands. You're really not in charge, truly speaking.
and here I am, and this is what's in front of me, and this is what I'm doing.
Right.
And sometimes you don't have any other choices. But when you're, let's talk about the joy of like just being in Norway. I mean, you're sitting there, and all of a sudden it's quiet, and you're still, and you're just breathing in and out, and it's beautiful, and your intention is there, and 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 that's good. And then all of a sudden, there's now the baby cries, and now you have to make a choice. you
Correct.
know, yeah.
And so on and so forth. Life is full of these unexpected surprises, movements, changes. So any kind of will, narrow will, go for this only. I will be only this. I will never eat meat, or I will never do smoke and drink, or I will never something, never, ever. Yeah? All of it is a weird thing which will never be maintained or fulfilled. And if it will be, then it will be only worse. Because in one moment it will flip and you will fall very hard. Yeah?
Mm-hmm. Right.
This will happen sooner or later.
Yeah. It's for me now. It's a little more focused on some actions. Taking some physical actions to make the body feel at ease, relaxed, not so tight in pain. And that's all of a sudden that's a powerful desire to do. But some days you wake up and you're not ready to do it, and you go on, and then maybe you do it a little later. So for me, I'm learning to be a lot more flexible with myself in that challenge. And if I really think I need to do that, then I do it. This is
Yeah,
one.
no, anything which is doable in terms of body, physical life, vital, mental life, discipline is doable. I'm
Okay,
speaking about spiritual life.
I got it.
Spiritual, which you cannot make by resolution easily.
Okay.
Those, Sri Aurobindo says, when you took a willing decision to do this way, better not to change it because it diminishes or damages your will capacity. So we have to develop the will capacity which would be able to follow the path of yoga. And Sri Aurobindo says you can invoke this power of will by two ways. One way is you can have it by consecration. You have to be initiated by the teacher into this power of will. You have to be given this power of will, which can make decisions in your life. Yeah? These decisions will not be changed. We do not have this willpower. No? We are always fluctuating. And the other is you can do it by grace. That means grace can, bestow upon you this power of will. But without this power of will, he says, we cannot proceed in our yoga, in our sadhana. Sadhana cannot be done. That means spiritual path cannot be accelerated without this power of will. If I make today decision to do this and tomorrow I change, and then day after tomorrow I change again, and then the day after tomorrow again, so these changes do not lead anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm not really doing it.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Right.
So Dridhavrata has a very specific connotation, yeah? That those who are steady in their vows, in their choices, they're steady. We can do it in normal life. If suppose I want to be a great musician, violinist, I will work on it every day, yeah, until I become one. That can be done. But in spiritual life, there is no such objective. Yeah? You cannot really become something. You have to discover the spirit and grow into it. It is something which we do not know, which we cannot experience other than with the presence of the spirit.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I understand that.
Yeah, you may succeed in your vratas. Yeah, you want to have discipline, physical exercises in the morning. You will succeed. By doing it, you will be successful. Building your house, building your place, you will succeed in every respect.
Right.
But here, what we mean is the spiritual life, where you can't really have it. Yeah? It has to possess you. How would you do it then?
Right. Right. Mm-hmm.
So those Dridhavaratas, they namasyantah cha mam bhaktya nitya yukta upasate. They surrender to me with adoration bhaktya. Being constantly united, they worship me ever in this yoga. Worship me as that presence of Krishna in our life, in our heart, is everything for yoga. Yeah? Yoga is that union with that presence. That the growth of that presence within us is yoga. And what is interesting, when that presence grows in you, you feel very good, and your mind and your vital feels blissful and happy. But then you see that there are other facets or other shades of life which are not fulfilled by this presence. The lower members, the members which cannot take it in, the presence of the divine, and change very quickly, they will demand the old ways of self-satisfaction. Yeah? You like certain food, you like certain way of living, certain comforts, and so on and so forth. So the physical has certain requirements, yeah, and likes different type of mattress to sleep on, different pillow, not this type, not too high, not too low, not too soft, and so on and so forth. So you will be kind of determined by your natural requirements or natural presuppositions in your body, in your vital, in your mind. These members are not ready to change so easily, and they will rebel against this presence, because this presence does something to the system which they are not used to. It makes them different. It makes them totally different. They will have to lose their own nature. They will have to change into something else. And they are not ready. They do not know how to do it. So there will be a gap, or the distance between the two, and that distance will grow in time. And these lower members will rebel and demand more and more their own self-satisfaction, until they make a revolution in your system, and you will not be able to go on anymore. You will be suffocating, yeah? And you will give in. This happens very often on the path. Why I'm saying all this, I do not know.
Well, sometimes you see an individual and they just look perfect in a sense. They're calm. There's no wrinkles. They have clear eyes. And it's like some of them, either maybe it's genetic, or maybe this is just a reflection of that practice you're talking about.
Yeah.
And maybe I used the wrong analogy to say they had to look like that, but maybe I should say, when you come into their presence, there's a certain being, there's a connection when you look into their eye, and you feel a presence about them. And I think that's just maybe that they've accepted, the lower regions have accepted that transformation, that divinity.
Some of them, yes. And there are so many facets of our lower members of consciousness. Yeah. There are so many different beings there which have to accept this change. Some of them accept it, and we are very happy with that. We don't go back on them. But there are many who are not easily accepting it. They do not know how to do it, and they are not pure enough, transparent enough to see the meaning in it. And the force is pressing on them and trying to deal with them. So what I want to say, it is a very long, in time, it is a very long endeavor, yeah? Very long, sophisticated path. It cannot be done very quickly and abruptly and immediately with all the members. We are much more sophisticated than it looks like at the beginning. the beginning of the path, I remember I was sure that in few months I will be in nirvana. I felt it, the presence of nirvana already. I knew that's just one step and I'm there. Now look at me, 35 years later. I'm talking about these things which I would never even mention that time.
The step got a little bigger. The last step got a little longer.
Yeah, but for the how to say achievement of this kind, these 35 years is nothing. Yeah, it's a very
Right.
short period.
Right.
Of course, for me it is a very long. I spent all my life doing nonsense. Yeah, in my view, as my mind describes this. But truly speaking, how would I know that it is nonsense if I would not try it out? Sometimes I think it is better to follow the teacher, the guru. He will tell you what to do. You do exactly as he tells you. You will be much faster on the path. Then you try out all your mistakes and learn by mistakes.
Oh, interesting. But yeah, but Vladimir, someone like me meeting you for the first time, I don't think you wasted your time. So, I know those that are close, they're measuring, more closely, but um, I wouldn't say that from my perspective.
Well, I'm to be totally honest. Yes, I had more opportunities at the beginning. It was very vivid and powerful and
Mm,
demanding, but my nature was not ready. All the
mhm,
my nature split, and the lower part and the higher part were two different beings within one being. It was very difficult to be within this body. Yeah, it was like. Um, because of that presence which was pressing so powerful. But if I would give myself totally to that presence, even lower members they will be crushed. They would be crushed, and maybe even I would leave the body already. Maybe I would die even under that pressure. Somebody asked Vivekananda, and what would happen if you die in meditation? And he said, it's better to die in meditation than from old
right.
age. Said,
Because of all the other options, yeah, yeah.
but that is not an option for me. I
Right.
couldn't make it. So I needed to come in terms of these lower members to deal with them, to purify them, to learn about them, to see what they are, and to exhaust their influence over the nature, so to
Mm-hmm.
say.
Mm-hmm.
And that took long time.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Mm.
it's a clever explanation. Better to follow Guru's command, really. To be clever, our mind is clever. I hate this mind.
Yeah.
It can explain everything. It can give you all the hints. So what will you do with all this cleverness and all this knowledge? It doesn't lead you anywhere. It
Right.
just leaves you there where you are.
Right. Well, that was very well said. Yeah.
Mm. All right, here this next 15 finally. Jnana yajnena cha piyanye yajanto mamupasate katvena prithaktvena bahudha vishvato mukham. Others seek me, mamupasate, or worship me by the sacrifice of knowledge, jnana yajnena, and worship me in my oneness and in every separate being. Ekatvena prithaktvena, as one as many. Bahudha, in many forms, in many ways. Vishvato Mukham, by million universal faces. So what is this Jnana Yajna? He will speak about this in a minute again. Jnana Yajna is, why he speaks about Jnana Yajna in the section of Bhakti Yoga is quite interesting. This is the sacrifice by knowledge, by self-realization. That means it is known as Svadhyaya. Svadhyaya is studies for oneself. When you study such texts as Gita or Vedas, what you do, you are looking for deeper answers, yeah, in these texts. They're kind of guiding you or giving you new experience, a new perception. So Svadhyaya has to be performed in a particular way. You have to know the text perfectly by heart and to read it to yourself. And when you read to yourself, you have to observe the flow of the meaning of the text, and the meanings are being created all the time new. Yeah, and you get this sense of experience. Aha moment. Now I can see what they want to say. Oh no, I never saw this, that they meant this. So this is what is happening to you when you do svadhyaya. So when you do this jnana yajna, or sacrifice by knowledge, you yourself become a sacrificial altar. So on one side there is a mind, which is heaven, observing the flow of speech, which is earth, and by this heaven and earth, by mind and speech, something is being created in between, and that is prana, or the antariksha, that space in between, life energy or life experience. You feel something there. Yeah? It's not just knowledge or in the mind, it is knowledge experience. You can feel it. Yeah? It's emotional. It's charged with feelings. And that is the experience you get from the reading of the text. Why do we read novels, and why do we read any texts or poetry, or why do we go to cinema or watch movies or go to theater? What is happening really to us? We are gathering this word, combining with our observing mind, and get the experience. We are watching a movie, we start crying, also laughing. Why? What happened to us? So there was only the word, and we observed with our mind, and we were put into the position of experience. The same with Svadhyaya. Only it is higher in a sense because it speaks about spiritual self-finding and realization. And in that sense, it is more appealing to our inner self. So we get these touches or these insights of the inner nature. By the way, all Indian tradition is based on this jnana yajna or svadhyaya. The whole Indian tradition is nothing but this svadhyaya. So Vedas are there created for this purpose. You just read them to yourself. Taittiriya Aranyaka prescribes svadhyaya to be done in the remote, lonely place where nobody can disturb you, nobody can find you. You have to create your own seat, higher than low, and not too high, not too low, not too wet, not too dry, not too open, not too close. So you have to find a place where nobody can disturb you. And there you sit down and read the text to yourself, not to others.
Right.
You read to your own consciousness. This is something. If you learn texts by heart and read them to yourself, you will see their effect. You will always gain some new knowledge. So many, he says, others try to reach me, to realize me and worship me with this sacrifice of knowledge, finding me as one, many, or many in many ways presented in the universal faces, so to say, my million universal faces. Aham kratuh, aham yajnah, svadhaham aham aushadham, mantroham aham evajyam, aham agnir aham hutam. In the ritual action, I the ritual action, aham kratuhu. I, the sacrifice, aham yajnaha. I, the food oblation, svadhaham. Svadha is an exclamation when the food is offered to fire. Aham aushadham. I am the fire-giving herb. Aushadham is from oshadhi. Oshadhi is a herb, but it literally says the container of light or the container of fire, of heat. So every herb or every greenery contains the fire within, the energy. So that's why he says fire-giving herb. He translates it literally, Aushadham. The mantra I, mantroham, aham evajyam, I also the butter, I the flame, aham agnich, the offering I, aham hutam. This kind of thing is difficult to understand. Our mind cannot truly understand this, how he can be everything. You know, the offering, the power, the oblation, the result, the fire, the one who makes the oblation, the one who receives the result, it is him alone. But there is a consciousness reaching in which we can see that it is so. We don't see it yet. We see separate actions and separate beings doing it.
Mm. Mm.
Somewhere Mother says that one day you will discover that it is not you who does the yoga, who do the yoga, but it is the my force within you who does it. Yeah. So it is the same thing. We think that we are doing something. We do not see that it is being done by the Supreme all the time. And that is also a very good place to look at our vows and our commitments. And if we are not capable of maintaining them, that means we made them artificially. We were in haste to create some results without being totally aware of our capacities and necessities. And there is some dishonesty in it also. There is this, being in a hurry to receive it. That means some insincerity is there.
Right. Right.
All right. Pitaham asya jagatah mata dhata pitamahah vedyam pavitram omkara riksama yajur evacha. I am father, Pitaham, of this world, asya jagatah. Mata, I am the mother. Dhata, the ordainer. Pitamahah, the grandfather, literally, or the first creator. Vedyam, the object to be known. Pavitram, the purity. Omkara, I am the Om sound. Om. Rik, Rigveda, Sama, Samaveda, Yajuh, Yajurveda, Evacha. So all the knowledge, he says he is. So he starts here in the chapter 9, what we call the Vibhuti Yoga, which is coming in the chapter 10. He will be explaining what he is in the world, how to find the divine, in what forms we can see the divine in the world. We are not used to it. We are not looking for the divine in the world. Yeah, we are looking for him beyond the world, beyond time and space. But he is also present somehow in the world. And that part belongs to Bhakti Yoga, because Bhakti is love for the divine here in manifestation.
Wow, thank you.
Yeah, we may love him here if we see him or we realized him, yeah, in some way or another. You can see this sometimes people who fell in love with someone, they see the form of the beloved in the form of the tree or in the form of the cloud. Yeah, it's in poetry always. To see the beloved in every possible form in nature is exactly bhakti yoga. Similar to what Mirabai, some of you may know her, or Surdas, Tulsidas, or Kabir. These, when the Bhakti movement, their songs, they are always praising the Lord in different forms. Kabir was less. Mirabai could see him everywhere, in everything. Sri Aurobindo had similar experience in Alipur jail. He saw Narayana in everything and everyone. He saw his presence in those thieves and murderers. He says, inside them, deep inside them, there was the presence. He saw his presence in the tree and giving shade to him, hiding him from the, this burning sun, giving shade to Sri Aurobindo. He saw him even in the bars of his cell. The bars of his cell were protecting him. That was the divine. So this is something which we may develop, this look. This is the spiritual look, where the realization of the divine becomes very vivid and concrete. It's not something abstract somewhere else, in the mind. It is here. So that's why he starts with this kind of vibhuti yoga, vibhuti manifestation, bringing all the powers into manifestation. Gatir bharta prabhu sakshi nivasach sharanam suhurit prabhavav pralayach sthanam nidhanam bijam avyayam. I, the path and the goal. If we think about the path and the goal, whatever it is, how else it could be if it is not the divine? Upholder, the master, bharta prabhu, the witness, sakshi, the house and country, nivasach, the refuge, sharanam, the benignant friend, suhrit, literally sweetheart, suhrit, perfect heart, prabhavach, the birth, pralayach, destruction, sthanam, and the status of apparent existence. I, the imperishable seed, bijam avyayam, and the eternal resting place, nidhanam. Tapam yaham aham varsham nigrehnami utsrajami cha amritam chevamrityuscha sad asat chaham arjuna. I give heat, I burn, tapami aham, I withhold and send forth the rain, aham varsham nigrehnami. There is a misprint here. It should be nigrih nami. It is nigrin ahami. It's just opposite. I am immortality, amritam chaiva, mrityusha, and also death, existent, sat, and non-existent, asat, chaham arjuna. Of course, for the mind, which thinks in terms of dualities, it is not a very deep fundamental statement. I am death and immortality, existent and non-existent. Our mind stops here. It cannot help anymore. But if we look deeper, we will see that immortality is maintained in time and space through death. So constant. So death is a constant life. Yeah. Reincarnation, dying and coming back. How else would you be always young here in this manifestation? We would become very old, and the whole manifestation will fall apart, if you would not die. But dying means not catching up with the spirit and immediately changing it, in being reincarnated, coming back and becoming young again, is the way of perpetual life. So to say this death is nothing but renewing life device.
Mm. Mm. Right.
Otherwise, we would be always inadequate.
Right.
It is as long as we are not capable of receiving the spirit and holding on to the spirit totally. As long as we are mm, uh, incapable of catching up with the speed and the knowledge and the purity of the spirit, which is quite difficult for us because of our lower membership. That's why they are dragging us down. And that's why we are getting old. That's why we are getting sick. There is a constant ongoing interaction between the spirit and the resistance to the changes which spirit brings. So there comes a moment when we are not capable of holding on to this body because the resistance is taking over, and we have to leave it. And we take with us our lessons, we learn from them, we know what happened, we learn from that death. This. Now, next time when I organize my life, I will take care of these elements. I will organize myself better, more effective, more concentrated, more dedicated to the sacrifice. So to achieve more.
Mm.
Well, everything ends with this as long as we are not capable of holding on to the spirit. But the moment we are capable of holding on to it, we become immortal in this body. The body does not have to leave. It becomes the projection of the spirit, the spiritual enterprise. It can renew itself with the spirit. Well, this is a long way to go.
Mm. Well, giving that other perspective that immortality is sustained through death. I mean, it just, for me, it just opened up more possibilities just to embrace that as part of, it didn't stop with death. I mean, on some level, but just by you saying that, it's just, I've been able to, I'm processing that expanded thought of saying, oh yeah, of course, it has to, immortality doesn't encompass death. If when you leave the body, you die, doesn't mean that you're not immortal anymore. It's that false image that you have to keep the body and live to be immortal.
Right. Of course, your body is not immortal, but
Right.
you, who is
Right.
there in that body,
Yeah.
receives enough experience to know how to do it better in the next time. So every time you come, you make a new attempt, a new concentrated attempt to bring the spirit and hold onto it.
Mm-hmm.
And again, you will receive from this infinite reservoir of inconscience or this subconscious mind with this darkness. You will receive elements to transform. So you
Mm-hmm.
bring them into your system, start dealing with them, and they will drag you down again and again and again until you build up something which may sustain as individual supreme here, psychic being, what we call the soul, which will become conscious, which will come to the front, will be born, and become aware of that infinite, supreme capacity in time and space. And from there you start another life. You are making conscious sacrifice, no more inconscient sacrifice, but conscious. Unconscious sacrifice is over. We are all in this unconscious sacrifice. We do not know why we do what we do. We just we do it.
Right. Yeah.
But once you become conscious, it's very different. You can be much more effective. And it seems that the nature is leading us to that point where she wants to use us as conscious instruments.
Mm-hmm.
She wants to progress through conscious instruments.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't want to do it herself. She wants us, the divine beings here, to do this progress or this evolution for her, with her.
Right. Wow.
Otherwise, of course, she will do it for us, but it will take millions of years or more. She is not in a hurry. She will be trying things out. But this accelerated evolution is possible with the birth of the soul here. Yeah. Okay, we can stop here for today. What do you think? Is
Good.
it?
And I'll let you know the next week. I probably will miss the lesson.
Okay.
But I will send you a different email because I have an email on my cell phone, so I perhaps can get in on cell phone.
All right. All right. Very good.
And yeah, I will try and make Wednesday's classes still noon Eastern Standard Time, which is a little.
I think so.
Yeah. I'll try and make that Wednesday. Now that I'm here, I just got to work around some schedules. So.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm closing with a mantra.
Okay.
Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschit Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om.
Thank you, Vladimir. Enjoy your day.
You
Bye,
too.
Lynn.
Bye.